in the stillness before dawn. On this day, 107 years ago, Australian and Kiwi soldiers landed on Turkey's Gallipoli Peninsula.
Considering why we pause to reflect and remember tells us much about who we were, who we are, and who we aspire to be.
More than 34,000 Anzac lives were lost.
We cannot change the past. We cannot bring back those lost to the traumas of conflict. We can only support those who did return. We can only honour and remember those who did not.
This year marks the 80th anniversary of the bombing of Darwin, the fall of Singapore, the Battle of the Coral Sea and the Kokoda Track campaign. It is the 60th anniversary of deployments to Vietnam and the first Anzac Day since Australia's withdrawal from Afghanistan.
The Anzac legacy is not reflected in a single individual or a single event. Instead, it is the sum of 1,000 stories.
Make us a people zealous for peace, and hasten that day when nation shall not lift up sword against nation.
In the midst of the election campaign, the nation's politicians put party lines aside.
Darwin is where war first met Australia, in the Pacific Theatre. Their sacrifice burns bright. It illuminates the nation.
As we honour those who fought for our liberty and freedom, we stand with the people of Ukraine who do the same thing at this very moment.
Help us to remember and care for those who still bear the physical, spiritual and emotional scars and disabilities of their service.
Overseas, services held in Villa-Bretonneux and Gallipoli for the first time since 2019.
The dead now lie side by side in this beautiful land. We remember them all, and we take comfort in knowing that Turkey continues to look after them without regard to nationality and with dignity and honour.
The spirit of Anzac shining bright.
Mateship, courage, endurance and sacrifice. The characteristics are not just confined to our people in uniform. They are evident in the actions of Australians today. If we learn from the Anzac legacy, and if we continue to live up to it, history tells us that we can overcome any challenge.
I think we do commemorate it so well. One of the things I enjoy after all the services is just seeing everybody in the streets afterwards. I saw a naval officer just walking around and just looking so proud. I saw a family, a husband, wife and child. The husband had his or someone's medals that he was wearing as they were walking through the streets. It's just wonderful how it just sort of keeps continuing during the day.
And on that note, it was also nice to observe this year how veterans from some of the more recent conflicts, so people who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, that they were included in quite a visible way. In Sydney, for instance, they marched up the front of the march, and some of those veterans were saying that they felt a bit more included and acknowledged than they have in the past. So I think, to your point, Rove, about the legacy living on, that was a nice nod too.